Hello, folks. Welcome back. So, right now, we're still actually under the FSMO rules. What I want to actually do is what is the seizure? What is the difference between transfer and seizure? When do I actually have to do this? Let me just go back over here. So, let me go back to server one. We know that server one is holding all the FSMO rules. It's a DNS server, it's a global catalog, right? And if I run the command again, just to make sure that they're actually on server one. See that? And if I check server two, same thing. If I go to server two and run this command, I could actually see this. I want to assume that server one crashed. It's gone. I cannot recover it at all. This is something that I want to do. So I'm going to minimize this. What I'm going to actually going to do is I'm going to shut down server one. Look at this. So I'm going to actually power it off this time. It's powered off. It's no longer there. No longer in the list, guys. You see that? So it's powered off. Let me just make sure it's gone. I can't reach it at all. So, that's what's happening. I cannot reach it at all. All right. So let me go back to server two and do netdom query FSMO. And look what it's going to say. It's still showing that it's actually on server one. Can I transfer the roles to server two? No, I cannot because transfer means what? Both domain controllers have to be up and running, and the domain controller that is holding the roles is actually down. So what I need to do is seize the roles on this replica. So I'm going to make server 2 as the main one right now because it's already a global catalog and it's also a DNS server. How do I do that? Let me show you how it's done from the command line. So I would do ntds util, right? And if I type in roles, again, I'm actually in FSMO maintenance and I have to do connections, right? So look at this connections again. I like to always ask for help. And then I would say connect so even though I'm actually on server, I still have to connect to it. W 2019-2. Okay, then quit. This time, when I put a question mark, I cannot use the transfer. It's not going to work. So if I say transfer, look at this, PDC. Are you sure? Yes. Look, it's taking a while, but look what's going to happen. Look what it's going to actually do. If you do the transfer from the beginning, it's going to tell you, like, listen, we couldn't read the one who's holding the role because they're actually down. And it's going to continue with a seizure. Watch. Instead of me doing the seizures, I could still do the transfer, but it's going to tell me, listen, I cannot transfer the role. So it's taking a while. It's taking its sweet time. It's like, let me see if I could talk to the person who's actually holding this role. And let's see. So let's give it a moment and see how this works for us. And it's still not doing it as you see, right? So it's trying and trying and trying to connect. And it's like, okay, well, look, there's an error. Look, message is, okay, there's error unavailable. And that because the owner right now is not able to be contacted. Okay, well, transfer error. Okay. What do we know about that server? It's holding all these roles over here. So that's a problem, right? So that's why I cannot use this, cannot be contacted. There's an actual connection. There's a role transfer error. You see that? Then it tells me what's actually there. So what I'm going to be doing is I have to do this command and I'm going to say seize, which means I don't care who actually owns it. I want it on my server. So I'm going to say seize. I'm going to start from the beginning. Infrastructure master. Are you sure? Yes. Look, attempting, as I said earlier, it's going to try and do a transfer, but it's like, listen, I cannot reach it, so I'm going to seize it. All right. Then I'm going to seize the rest of the roles. Let's give it a moment. See, it still tries to say, let me talk to that person before I try to seize the roles over here. That's what it's trying to say right now. And it's going to go ahead and do it right now. So this just takes a few seconds. After this is done, I'm going to bring server one back online, and server one is not going to fight with server two. Is like, listen, I had the roles. Can you give me the roles back? I just want to show you that and show you how that actually works for us. All right. So that's going to be actually quite interesting too. So let's give this a few more seconds. It should actually be able to continue right now. It should say like, all right, we tried to connect to it and I couldn't reach it because it's either down, unreachable, it's no longer there. We're going to continue with the seizure. All right. That's what it's doing right now. So it's trying to talk to it. It may take a few more seconds. It's not going to take more than a minute, I would say so. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It's just going to take a few seconds. And it's going to say proceeding with seizure. And I'm going to show you like the actual schema master, as I said, when I merge. And I did not show you the naming master. I'm going to show you that when we actually do a child domain. Look, let me just show you here. Attempting a safe transfer. The request could not be contacted. Proceeding with seizure. See, that's what I mentioned earlier. Now I'm going to do a seize, let's say, naming master. And yes, that's what I need to do. Like if a domain controller crashes, you have to do this manually. You have to make sure, first of all, that it's a global catalog server. It's a DNS server, guys, right? So that's what I need to make sure before I do any of this, because it needs to process logons. It needs to know information about every object in the forest. Even though the forest has only one tree, I only have one domain right now, which is really a what? Parent domain, right? It's a parent domain. But I'm going to be setting up a child domain, and the purpose for that, so I could show you that some roles are going to be per forest and some roles are going to be per what? Per a domain. So we could actually see that in action. I'm going to do that on one of the servers. So it's not like I need to set up a third server. No, we're still sticking to two servers, guys, right? I still didn't do much on the client side because I did not touch anything about Active Directory users and computers. So here's the naming master, and then I'll do the PDC, then the RID, then the schema. All right, so that's what we're going to be waiting for, PDC, RID, and the schema itself. So this should not take long. See, it just gives it like a minute. All right, are you still there? Are you still there? It's like a heartbeat. The heartbeat is not coming back. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Let me continue with the seizure itself. There you go. It failed, proceeding with seizure. And I'm going to seize, let's say, the RID master. It's actually RID master, right? Are you sure? Yes. And then the PTC, and then the last one, right, which we'll see. So I have the schema. I did infrastructure, naming, RID, so I need the PTC and the schema, right? PDC and schema. See, it's always attempting a safe transfer. And then I'm going to restart or turn on server one, and server one is going to agree on that, okay, server two is holding all the FSMO roles now. That's actually fine. They're not going to fight. They don't fight. Domain controls don't fight by default, I would say. So even though they're both of them are actually what? Global catalog servers, right? So that's the RID. And then don't forget, guys, the next ones I'm going to do is PDC and schema, right? Everything is here. Command line is so perfect. Like I want you to be adjusted to the command line, especially I'm going to show you some PowerShell commands. It's good to know command line. Right, I know it's like at the beginning, I want to work with the graphical interface. I want to work with the GUI. I'm more like comfortable with the GUI, but guess what? Especially advancing your skills in the IT field, you'll be working with Cisco command lines. It could be scripting. So it's Linux servers. It's actually good to be adjusted with the command prompt. So prompt will never phase out. It's like, yes, it's still there because most of these are actually 16-bit applications. Okay, cannot be contacted, proceeding with seizure. Look, searching for the highest RID pool. See, I wanted you to look at this so it generates unique 500. It generates like 500 numbers to each domain controller. It's actually 499. Let's say 500. These, what else? The schema, right? Master. Are you sure? Yes. And then the PDC, then we're actually done. Then I'll turn all the server on, just making sure everything is there. I could actually force replication. I want to restart Active Directory domain services just to make sure, right? That's one thing to keep in mind. Let's give it a few more seconds. It's not going to take that long. And I'll do the last one, which is actually the PDC. So I showed you the PDC, I showed you the RID. I want to show you the domain name master and the schema like in action as an actual simulation. So you can see like how does it really work behind the scenes. All right. That's what I want to actually look into. So let's see. Should not take long. That's what you need to do as a network admin. Is like that's why they always need us. Right? Somebody has to do this manually. All right. So this is what's actually I would say required for us to perform. All right. So it should be finishing up right now, and the last one is the PDC itself. So let's give it a few seconds, and I'm gonna do the PDC itself, and then I'll verify just to actually make sure. So remember, we have one forest, one tree, one domain so far, right? The more you listen, the more you start understanding like the structure, how things are actually organized. And most commonly, guys, in an actual company, you're just gonna see one forest, one domain, one tree. That's the most common, right? Okay, so I'll continue with Caesars. Let me seize the PDC. Last one. There we go. And this is the last one. Then I want to verify when I do netdom query FSMO that everything is pointing to server 2. That's what I want to verify, that everything is actually pointing to my second server, right? That's what needs to be actually done. Second server. Let's give this a few moments and see how this actually works. And give it a moment and let's see. Attempting. There you go. It's still attempting. All right. It's like, let me talk to you nicely first. Can you give me the rollback? No. Okay, I'm gonna force it on myself. That's a seizure, right? Yeah, it's kind of interesting the way they actually talk behind the scenes. Like everything is converted to zeros and ones. That's how IT is all about. Let's give it a few more seconds, guys, and we'll see in a moment. So again, you better be performing these labs again and again, folks, right? The more you do this, the more you get adjusted to it. And it's like you're working in a company by doing this. It's just you don't have a live environment, but this is exactly inside an actual corporation what needs to be done for troubleshooting, right? And I should get the output in one, two. There you go. All right. So let me quit and quit over here. And now I'm going to do the netdom query FSMO. And look, it's all pointing to server 2. Perfect. All right. Let me go to server 1. Let me start server 1 and show you over here. Here's server 1. Are they going to fight? No, they're not going to fight. And let me actually go. Where's server 2? Let me actually restart this. I just want to force replication. It's actually better when we actually do this. Server 1 coming up. Yes. And here's server 2. So this will be like more accurate, I would say. And here's server 2. So I want to have both. Let me wait for server 1. So this should not take long. So again, as I said, the FSMA roles are extremely important and they're so sensitive, guys. So you have to play a big, patience when you're actually doing this, right? Don't like go ahead and let's say, you know what? I don't know what to do. Everybody's calling me. Things are crashing. No, play it right. Everything will be under control. Always, you're the network admin. You have to make sure you have to assure your employees, your clients are always trusting and depending on you that you can get things fixed up and running quickly as soon as possible. If you panic, they will panic, right? So you can't panic, right? Even though things are actually going crazy, show a positive face. Oh, I could fix this. Everything will be fine. Just give me a few moments. That's why you have replicas. That's why you have all these backups. And I'm going to show you how to back up on all these different techniques that we're going to be actually looking into. And the importance of course, virtualizing like an actual server in an organization. So we're going to see all that. Server 1 and server 2. All right. I just wanted them to all talk to each other. So right now, look at this. This is server 1. And let me log on. And server 2 should be coming up soon. There you go. And there we go, right over here. And let me log on. Right. So if I go back over here and I go to the command prompt, come on, where'd you go? All right. And I go to the command prompt. Oh, it looks like I opened the MMC. Command prompt should be in the list. And netdom query FSMO. Netdom query FSMO. server two. See, this is actually on server two. Let me go to server one. This is good, but this will prove everything to me right now that I did everything right because server one was pointing. And let me open CMD and do the netdom query FSMO. Netdom query FSMO, and I should be able to see that it's actually pointing. Oh, look, some of them, schema and domain name master looks like it still didn't actually change. I may have to restart the computer, right? I may have to restart the computer itself. So normally these two should have been actually transferred, which is at the forest level, and they did not get transferred. Let me see something. This is actually good for troubleshooting. Let me open services, right? And restart Active Directory domain services. Let me restart and go to server two and do the same thing. Well, server two thinks that it's the one that is the schema domain name, so they're negotiating right now, right? That's why I did a restart, by the way. Let me go ahead and restart the service over here too, so they could sync to each other. Or I'll do like the rep admin sync all and see if that's gonna fix things or not. Like one of them is like, I accept the PDC RID infrastructure, but I think I'm holding the schema and the naming master. And let me just see if it got convinced. This is server two, still pointing to itself. Let me go back to server one and see on server one. This is still restarting. Okay. And let's take a look. Server two, what did I say? It takes a while. I eventually convinced one. It's like, listen, you can't be. It's me. You see that? So this actually worked perfect for us, guys. So that's for this lecture. We're going to continue on. I want to actually show you a child domain so I could show you some roles are per forest and some roles are actually per a domain. So we'll see you folks soon. All right, guys. Bye then.